Once you have had an experience that is not other, that is the one, that is this experience of one, you just want to kind of shout that from the rooftops. It was through Jesus that I came into a much deeper awareness of God's struggle in our dream of justice and some kind of equality, some kind of mutual state of mutual reverence that in our like that well, some of us have known it. If you've known that divine state, that state of mutual reverence with others, then at some point you just realize you can't settle for anything less.
Seek first the kingdom, and all else will be added to you. When we follow the instructions of our subversive rabbi, we will inevitably find ourselves at odds with misaligned authority. Teachers and systems which seem to oppose us will show us right to the work that needs to be done in ourselves. Isn't that amazing? I was told that I was angry and that I've been taking things too personally. So I listened to you when you said that. And you know what? You were right. I am already held and sustained in a loving and divine network. It is in living from this realization of my I amness, the fact that I am sustained, that I'm not lacking in anything. It's from that realization that my deepest calling, my deepest expression is now arising, my deepest love. LNTEOW, labor and the expression of worth. If you're a teacher who teaches your students to be where they need to be, when they need to be there, and to do exactly what they need to be doing, then you should expect that some students may just get right up and walk out on you. I met an old blues man once who told me that silence was golden. He may have just been trying to get me to shut up, but he communicated something incredibly deep to me that at 22 years old, I had never considered before. The value of silence, the value of stillness. I will not doubt in darkness what I have seen in the light. I will not doubt in darkness what I have seen in the light. I will not doubt in darkness what I have seen in the light. Oh, I will not doubt what I have seen in the light. If you are a teacher who teaches your students to question authority, then you will surely welcome your students to question your authority. From where does true authority arise? That's one way to ask one of the deepest questions, y'all. Come on. Just who is in charge here? The question of authority. And if it is I who is in charge, who am I serving? Authority issues. From deep time perspective, our species just recently tried to divorce itself from the natural governance that comes upon us when we are functioning in tribe-sized communities. And with that divorce from our origin, as we left behind so much of our innate tribal wisdom that can flow so naturally from an extended family, we have lost our ability to teach and learn from one another. We've lost our respect for teacher and student in many cases. You might say that we have outsourced our teaching and learning to centralized educational institutions, not unlike we have outsourced our medicinal practices to centralized systems. And we outsource our spiritual guidance also to centralized systems. We call them churches. All of this outsourcing amounts to a surrender of the true authority that arises from within. We have agreed to allow top-down bureaucracies to rule our lives. We leave it to a centralized power structure to ensure us our God-given or our inalienable rights, when God-given rights must arise first from within. The right to free speech is discovered in our friendships. The right to assemble must be cultivated through depths of assembly.
And the right to bear arms represents our sovereign act of defending those rights, even to the creating of a militia to claim and reclaim those inalienable human rights. History has shown us that no matter how lofty and well-meaning our ideology may be, when we delegate our authority to higher powers that are less than divine, we end up compromised, having surrendered our authority to a source that is not worthy of our surrender. Who is in charge here? We also see these power struggles in our friendships, partnerships, and relationships to others in institutions. When we surrender our will to an authority less than God, we compromise our own calling. You might say that life is very much about discovering our truest and deepest expression of worth, and then being brave and bold and loving and compassionate and forgiving enough to offer that deepest expression, even when our best is ignored or canceled or mocked or ridiculed, even when we're put in prison or hung on a cross. Jesus is the one who showed me. He came healing and revealing to us the loving depth and the great disconnection of our hearts from Source. He encouraged us to see through the illusion of fear that our church and state institutions project upon every available flat surface. Our churches turn communion into consumerism. Our centralized state and the corruption behind all monetary systems insists that we bend our knee, that we worship it. I believe it is true that we cannot serve two masters. When our allegiance is divided between those external idols and our true authority within, we are compromised. And when our integrity is compromised, we are no longer capable of loving. We are no longer capable of passing down the required wisdom from generation to generation, these essential and sacred intergenerational exchanges. Once, a rich young man approached Jesus. "I have heard your words, great teacher, and I wish to respond," said the rich young man to Jesus. "Then sell all you have, give to the poor, come back and follow me," said Jesus. The rich young man turned away from the Son of Man brokenhearted, for it was in his Father's inheritance that the rich young man had placed his faith. A wise teacher will ask you to give all. A wise teacher will ask you to live dangerously. A wise teacher will ask you to face the false teachers and doctrine of our day. We live in a world which has forgotten the source of true authority. We live in a world which has forgotten Source. We have forgotten our Creator. We have misperceived authority. What can we do about this today? Well, we can make that choice to turn our attention inward to that great I Am. Be still and know that great I Am. The origin of our true authority, the one loving teacher who teaches us all. You have the power. We have the power to create our future. Together, we are discovering our common work, our common testimony, our common love.
And this is salvation. This is what it's like to be reborn in a nested truth which keeps expanding and expanding. This is like the onion concept. It's layered, right?
The Son of Man has no place to rest his head. No parking between 2 a.m. and 5 a.m. These laws are written because people are sleeping in their cars, not because there is insufficient parking. The reality may not seem like much to you right now, but to those of us who live in our cars, it's significant. It means that from 2 to 5 a.m., just about time the midnight shift policeman might be needing a little personal pick-me-up, the type of neurochemical pick-me-up that only a little code enforcement can bring, tap, tap, tap on the driver's side window. Seattle Police Department, you can't sleep here. Would you like to have a conversation about that or just drive on? Yeah, that's what I thought. Oh, that's a terrible way to wake up.
no place to rest our head. There's a lot to learn in that. That's an initiation ceremony in itself. Please, dear reader, I do not want you to think that I have something against the police. They are people just like us, playing their role. I know, because I was once one of them. Yes, there are some things I've needed to say for a long time, and when I first tried to say them, no one wanted to hear. I was told that I was angry and that I've been taking things too personally, so I listened to you when you said that, and you know what? You were right. I mean, I really was angry, and I was carrying around a lot of resentment and hurt, and I can now more fully understand why it was that you couldn't hear me. We must first realize the truth. I had to first realize the truth in myself, that I am already held and sustained in a loving and divine network. It is in living from this realization of my I amness, the fact that I am sustained, that I'm not lacking in anything. It's from that realization that my deepest calling, my deepest expression is now arising, my deepest love. Seek first the kingdom, and all else will be added to you. When we follow the instructions of our subversive rabbi, we will inevitably find ourselves at odds with misaligned authority. Teachers and systems which seem to oppose us will show us right to the work that needs to be done in ourselves. Isn't that amazing? It's like we're working together, even when it seems like we're opposing one another. There are many lessons to be learned about how we respond to the injustices we see, and especially how we respond when we are hurt, offended, belittled, and attacked.
I've had this lived experience, this divine lived experience in which I have seen the light in you, and also I've had these mutual exchanges where the presence of God is just so profoundly so profound. Once you have risen up from the depths of jealousy and hurt and sickness and belittling and hate and all the othering that many of us were born into, once you have had an experience that is not other, that is the one, that is this experience of one, you just want to kind of shout that from the rooftops in a sense. It will cause you to, well, it has caused me to make some choices in my life about where I will place my attention. We each have our own story of liberation. We each have our own story of what it's like to come from bondage into freedom, to be delivered. I'm here to share mine, to share my story with you, and to encourage you in yours. Labor and the expression of worth. Traveling Trav's Traveling String Camp. Together, we are discovering our common work, our common stories, our common songs, our common dance moves, our common rhetoric sometimes, our common love.